Welcome back, tuning into today's video. We're going to use the CFS model today and have a look at the long range CFS for the next 6 months. Now before we get on with this, just want to explain that this comes with a huge health warning. This video is just one model, and I don't particularly rate the CFS model all that highly, I've got to say. But nevertheless, it's interesting and it's a bit of fun really on a very hot and sunny Sunday. I hope you enjoy the video and find it interesting, but it's just really a bit of fun. Don't take it too seriously. To do a real proper seasonal 6 monthly outlook, I'd have to get all the season models together and try and see what they're all showing. But yeah, we're going to have a quick look at the CFS model, see what that's about for the next 6 months. Before I get on with the video, though, just talk about the advertising. That's green keyword ads on all my pages at GavsWebBits.com. If you roll your cursor over those green keywords, they'll display ads. If you click through the word, you'll go to the advertiser's website, and by doing that, you'll be supporting GavsWebBits.com. And thanks very much for doing it. Also want to say that the charts here, the charts here that we're using, the CFS charts, are coming from the website MeteoSeal. You can find MeteoSeal on my links page, and I'll also put the CFS, the actual CFS page at MeteoSeal up as well, because I know some of you have had trouble finding the CFS charts. So I'm going to put the CFS charts up as well as the actual link to MeteoSeal, and you'll be able to see these charts for yourself. So we're going to start off with sea level pressure first of all. For August, mean sea level pressure for the month of August, and this is what the CFS model is showing just at the moment. I should explain that MeteoSeal, the CFS model, is updated twice a day, and these are ever changing, these charts. So if you have a look at this today, I'm doing this Saturday evening, if you have a look at this today on Sunday morning, it's quite likely that this chart would have changed over, so it'll be showing something a little bit different to this. So this is just a snapshot of what the CFS model is showing at this particular time, 10:22 on Saturday, the 13th of July. It's just a quick snapshot of what the CFS model is showing right now, but it will probably, particularly as we go further out, change quite a lot if you look on Sunday. So I say this is the mean sea level pressure for August. First of all, and it's showing a very slack flow here for August. We're not really under high pressure or low pressure. I'll just quickly highlight where British Isles is. I'm sure you can see it. There it is. We're not really under high pressure or low pressure. It's a very slack flow there being predicted for August, but certainly doesn't look like a particularly unsettled month from that for August. For September, it's very different. We're under a trough of low pressure there. We've got a big trough of low pressure around and to the west of the British Isles. Very much low pressure dominated, so if that's right, we'll be seeing quite a wet September coming on. We'll have a look at the precipitation forecast in a moment, but I would expect to see them showing above average for September. For October, the mean sea level pressure is showing that we get a big area of high pressure developing up over Scandinavia. I'll just quickly highlight it. There it is. You can't see it all that well because of the colours, but that's a big area of above average heights, big area of high pressure sitting over Scandinavia, and we've got low pressure then out to the west of the country, being blocked by that area of low pressure. That's potentially quite wet actually to the south. As that low pressure comes in against the high pressure, you will be seeing the jet stream going something like that. So that's potentially quite wet for England and Wales in particular for October, perhaps less so for Scotland and Northern Ireland. It's a very similar pattern as we go into November as well, just that we lose the pressure a little bit over Scandinavia, but it's still pretty high. That's still pretty extensive area of high pressure over Scandinavia, and it's still enough to sort of block off the Atlantic. The low pressure, the trough is still stuck in the Atlantic. Again, the jet stream is probably going something like this, so I think that again is probably quite wet for England and Wales, and with the high pressure of the heights a little bit weaker to the northeast, that could be wetter for Scotland as well, certainly wetter compared to October. But for England and Wales, that's really still got quite a potentially quite a wet autumn actually, with the wet September pattern, and then the chance of a jet stream southerly tracking through October and November. That's quite a wet sort of pattern for the autumn, I think, for England and Wales. December sees a big area of high pressure developing around the British Isles. That is a very active area of high pressure sitting across the country, across much of northwestern Europe as well. Remember, this is average sea level pressure for the month. So it's not going to be a continuous area of high pressure sitting over the country for December. This is an anomaly for sea level pressure through the month of December, and as an anomaly we see quite an extensive area of high pressure, but of course there would be some unsettled weather at times. It's very unlikely you get high pressure sitting right over the country all through the whole of December. Now, high pressure in December, particularly in that sort of position, could well give us quite a coldish sort of month, and very dry, of course. And then as we go through into January, well, very consistent signal is being forecast by the CFS model, run after run after run. I've talked about it a lot in videos over the last few weeks, and it's still there today, that we get this large and extensive blocking area of high pressure there to the north and to the northeast, very extensive above average heights for January, really blocked off in terms of the Atlantic. The trough, the low pressure, is down there to the southwest of Iberia, so the NAO, North Atlantic Oscillation, would be through the floor with this, and we'd be bringing down cold air across much of Europe from the north and from the northeast as well. So again, the CFS model is still going for this for January. The idea that we get a lot of blocking to the northern latitudes for the month of January. It's so interesting how consistent this signal for January is. But as we go through to February, this is the last chart we're going to look at. This is a little bit over 6 months, actually. I don't look at the next 6 months, but as we've got the charts here, might as well look at February. And that's showing that, again, we've got the trough of low pressure coming in from the Atlantic. We're losing the heights up to the northeast as well somewhat, so that's probably quite a bit milder and more unsettled, with western winds re-establishing. So just have a quick look at the temperatures for the next 6 months, the temperature forecast. Very interesting for August. The temperature forecast is actually near normal across many parts of the country. It isn't seeing, the CFS model is not seeing a continuation of the hot and dry weather, I don't think, that we've got at the moment. Very much near normal temperatures there across the country, actually a little bit cooler than the average across England and Wales. For September, we're seeing again very much near normal temperatures there across the country. Yeah, it's near normal, particularly for England and Wales, a little bit above actually for Scotland and Northern Ireland, but really you can say that is pretty much a near normal temperature signal for September. For October, again, it's seeing near normal or maybe a little bit below average for England and Wales in particular. For November, again, very much near normal. So this July that we're experiencing, a very hot month, I think we're going to come away with in terms of the average temperature for July. It isn't seeing this continuing through August, September. Very interesting that CFS model is sort of has the idea that this July is going to be very much on its own. We'll see whether that does in fact work out. And as we go into December, when it's forecasting quite a cold month actually for December, hardly surprised, we've got that area of high pressure as an anomaly around the country, but that's quite cold for England and Wales in particular, with an anomaly of 2 degrees below average. As we go through to January, it's seeing an even colder month then. Look how cold it is across many parts of the continent. We've got anomalies here across many parts of Europe, up to between 4 and 6 degrees below average. So a really cold January being forecast for Europe. For the British Isles, it is forecasting a colder month than December. I think it's actually forecasting temperature anomalies anything to 3 to 4 degrees below average, but that's a very cold month there being signalled across the country for January, and particularly again focused on England and Wales. And then for February, it's seeing that temperatures do recover a little bit. Much of Europe stays below average. We actually come up nearer normal, and that's because the westerlies are kind of re-establishing, but much of Europe still very, very cold, actually even going through into February. But that January temperature anomaly, I'll go back to it. Look at that, really cold for Europe, severely cold month on the way for much of Europe, and the British Isles, southern areas particularly, included in that. Quite alarming to see how cold it is actually for much of Europe for the month of January. Finally, have a quick look at the precipitation forecast for the next 6 months, and for August it's forecasting above average precipitation across England and Wales. The red colours are precipitation above average, so yeah, it's going for quite a wet month actually for England and Wales, drier for Scotland. Very slack flow being predicted for August, so I think what we're probably looking at is a lot of thunderstorms there actually for England and Wales. Then have a look at September. Those red colours indicating a really wet month of September. We haven't seen many Septembers for a long wet Septembers for a long time, but the CFS model really going for it today. A very unsettled sort of wet month is being predicted there across the country in September. And then for October, it's seen a much drier month there. I did say that I thought the jet stream would probably be tracking something like this going down to the south of the country, so always wetter for England and Wales, always drier for Scotland. This is actually showing near normal, slightly below average for England and Wales, but I think in actual, if the pattern came off of CFS model predicting, the actual idea would be that England and Wales could be quite wet going through October. And then into November again, it's the same sort of idea, near normal precipitation, but again the idea for November, is that the jet stream is going something like that. It's a little bit further north, so actually it's a slightly wetter month across the country for November. And then for December, obviously we have a very dry month being signalled as we go through into December. Very dry month there with that extensive area of high pressure, anomalous area of high pressure for December. For January, again a dry month being signalled. You would expect that with blocking, but of course any precipitation that does fall in such a cold month would likely be snow. And then for February, actually the precipitation comes back up, and again the reason that's happening is that the westerlies are returning. We've got low pressure coming in across the country, something like that, with the jet stream going something like that, and that is bringing quite a bit of precipitation with it through February as the blocking eases away to the east and the north. So very interesting signals from the CFS model. It looks like we're going to be pretty cool really for the next 6 months. It's very clear from this that the CFS model is not seeing this hot July, this hot pattern for July. It's not seeing it going on into August and September. And if anything, it's seeing that things will get much more unsettled through August and particularly into September, a really wet month being signalled for September. And then of course we've still got that signal going on into January. Really cold signal there for January. That is very alarming to see that temperature anomalies for much of Europe in January being signalled to be at 6 degrees below average. That's severely cold for much of the continent. The British Isles is included in that. We're not as severely cold as that. We're not 6 degrees below average, but with something like 3 or 4 degrees below average, that's cold enough. That would be a really cold January, and it would be bitingly cold really with temperature anomalies that much below average for the British Isles. But for Europe it looks very, very alarming, and it's a really consistent signal. I can't get over this, how consistent the CFS model is with this idea of the northern blocking and the really, really cold January. It just keeps going for it, run after run after run. It's got something in its sights for January. I'm sure of that. It is picking up on some sort of signal for a lot of blocking. Whether it'll eventually come to the idea it's going to drop it all or it's going to moderate it, it may well do, but right now it has got that signal in its sights because you can't get this sort of a pattern run after run after run. This is updated twice a day and it's going through it very often on these updates. You can't get that sort of consistent signal and the model not be picking up on something. So it's certainly got something. There's certainly something going on for January, but quite whether the CFS model will carry on with this, whether it's got the pattern for so far out, I'm a bit dubious about it, but it's quite alarming to keep seeing it all the time. But anyway, coming back to the nearer the time, and it looks like we're not going to be seeing the hot July continuing into August and September. Famous last words. There we go, cross fingers. And it looks like it's going to get increasingly unsettled through August. Very wet September being predicted. That's it for now. Hope you found the video interesting on a hot Sunday. Get back outside and enjoy the sun now. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.